Yeah, totally not overpriced at all. Today we are taking a look at the Copic Opaque White.too. Now when I first heard that Copic was coming out with their own whiteout / white ink, my first thought was, hey, I'm going to have to sell my liver to buy this. And I was kind of right. This sells for on average of $16 and this sells for an average of $11. That is mind-blowing to me. You saw in the skit in the beginning how crazy that is compared to other inks, especially other white inks. I was very curious about this, and I did a whole theme month called White Ink Month where I tested a bunch of white inks, and I just kind of had fun with it. And when I saw this, I had to try it out. Now, this one I picked on Amazon, and this one I picked up on Michaels. The one from Michaels, interestingly, if we take it out of its really nice plastic package, it's simple, it's nice, I like it. It reveals a bottle that kind of looks like nail polish. In fact, when you remove this, twist it off, it reveals a little brush. So, to me, this is more like a quick fix kind of situation, almost like whiteout. This one, however, if you take it off again of its pretty nice little box, it's simple, I like it. This reveals much more of a traditional inkwell. And when you open it, you can see the ink inside. Now, something I noticed, it barely moves. It's almost like mousse. In fact, if this thing was a little bigger, I would say this was hair gel, because that does not move at all. Of course, doing our normal tests in the Batman sketchbook. Now, for testing purposes, I've made a few marks on this piece of paper with the normal inks that both I and other artists use. Micron, Prismacolor, Pigma, Pigma FD, Master, we have the Acute, Copic, we have Sharpie King, Sharpie Pen, Sharpie Paint, AD, we have Artist Loft, and 2 random ones that I have. So I think this would be a great starting test to see if this works. I'm kind of debating if I want to use my dip pen or if I just want to use a brush. I think that a brush would be the best one to use, so I got this little brush we're going to use, and then afterwards we'll do a few little tests with the dip pen to see how that works. Let's test it out with the Micron first. Goes on very, very thick, as expected. I'm actually impressed by how well that's covering it. It's almost gone. Same thing, and notice that's the same dip too. Even on Pigma. Let's get another dip. So after applying it, and it is still a little wet, I have to say, I'm actually impressed. It covered almost everything perfectly. Now, it feels like whiteout, especially using this one that's shaped like a whiteout bottle or nail polish bottle. It's goopy like whiteout, but it covers more, and I've used traditional whiteouts before. I've used big tape, liquid paper. This one is doing more than that. You know, it's similar with the goopiness, but at the same time, it's able to actually go in and pretty much block out all the pigment from showing. Now, as you can see, Micron's completely covered. Prismacolor, a little bit is showing in person, but I think that's because I put a thinner layer, so I'm not going to hold that against it. The Pigma is still covered, and Pigma FD, still covered. Master, covered. Acute, covered. Copic, covered. I noticed when I put a little bit of a softer and less layered version at the end, it's showing a little bit, but again, it's, you know, not thick as a layer. King Sharpie, normal Sharpie, interesting a little bit, and I applied a thick layer here, but the normal Sharpie is showing just a wee bit, which is interesting. I'm sorry it's not as clear on camera as it is in person. Sharpie Pen, fully covered. Sharpie Paint, a little bit shows through again. More prevalent in person than on camera. AD, same thing, went through completely. Artist Loft, fully covered. And our 2 random ones, fully covered. Gotta say, that's actually pretty cool. I'm really excited by that. Now, I have one more test we're going to do with these guys. Here we have a black piece of paper. Now, all our tests was done with this bottle of Copic Opaque White. We're going to use this bottle and test how it would work with both a brush and a dip pen, because I really want to know. As always, we have our rag and our bottle of water. I don't know if I should shake this. I feel like I shouldn't. I'm not going to shake it. So let's give it a shot. Oh, man. That is... yeah, that's white. It's almost pure white. Almost nothing shows through. It's very thick. It's a very, very thick ink. Not at all a smooth ink. Let's use our dip pen. This stuff does not like dip pens. That's not good. What if I mash it up a little bit? Okay, we got one line. We got one line. It doesn't work with dip pens. With brushes, it works pretty well, I have to say. Now, that does throw off my plan because the test illustration I was going to do was of Batman Beyond, which required a little bit more fine work and detail. So that is disappointing. I'm going to try a few more tests to see if I can get something to work, and then we'll do the illustration. And we're done. Guys, I have to say, I'm not 100% happy with how the piece came out. I really illustrated this piece and created the conception and design of it based off of the idea that this would work with a dip pen that I have a fine point. And it really didn't work out that way. This ink is so thick, it just does not work with dip pens. It doesn't work with really anything outside of brushes, so I really had to think outside the box, and I tried my best to actually do a good job illustrating it, and I'm not 100% happy. Because of that, this illustration will not be on my ArtStation store. It will be on the portfolio. If you guys would like to see this in the ArtStation store, if you guys really enjoy it, I will make it available in the ArtStation store for a $1 digital download, and you can also check my store for other illustrations I do. Again, just a $1 digital download. It really helps out the channel. The fact that this ink is just for really quick mistakes, like, oh, I made a little mistake here, let me put it down to fix it. You are not meant to actually use this to do illustrations because it's just so unusable. It's too thick, it's too creamy, it gobbles up too much. Like, it's gunky on pens and brushes. I actually threw away 2 pens and I almost had to scrap a nib because of that. I also have to say, guys, this is way overpriced. $16 is way too much for this, and $11 is way too much for this. Now, my rating on this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give each of the inks 2 separate ratings. The Copic Opaque White.too in this container deserves a 3. If I'm being generous, a 4. It is way overpriced for what you get, and the ink itself really doesn't work for illustrations. In fact, I wouldn't even use this one as a whiteout just because of not only how expensive it is, but the fact that I have to get a separate brush to use it. Removing the Copic label and the actual quality of the ink itself and the way it presents itself in this packaging, I'm going to have to say that this ink is worth $3, maybe $4. For the Copic Opaque White.too in the brush container, I'm actually going to hold it a little bit higher. This rating is going to be a 5 to a 6. Because it comes with the actual brush itself, you're able to use it more effectively, and it's clearly labeling itself as, hey, this is whiteout, which I appreciate more. The price range is also much nicer, $11. Still pretty pricey, gotta say. And I personally, removing the Copic label, would say that this is worth $4 to $5. I can definitely see myself using this for quick fixes like whiteout. but I can't see myself using this, and that's how I'm going to rate these, because they were just not a joy to use. They're very frustrating. I think the presentation of the ink too is also a problem. The fact that it's advertising as a white ink you can ink, and this as a whiteout, I think that's fine, but this one just going too far with the, hey, you could use this as a normal white ink. If you guys want to use a really good, strong, phenomenal white ink, definitely gotta recommend the Dr. P.H. Martin Bleed Proof White ink. This ink is phenomenal. I love it. It is thick, not as thick as the Copic, and it goes down phenomenal. It's going to get a lot of the similar results, and also the Dr. P.H. Martin Bombay white ink. That is another phenomenal white ink to use. And that's my review of the Copic Opaque White.too inks. I think they're just too conflicting. I think they're overpriced. I think that they just don't set out to do the job that they really made clear, especially with the fact it comes in 2 different packaging, so it's very confusing. But that's my opinion. Please let me know what you guys think of the inks. Have you used them yourselves? Do you like them? Or are you guys just Copic fanboys who will love anything they make? We do have some people out there that think like that. Like the video if you enjoyed the review and the illustration, and on top of that, subscribe to the channel for more art and animation based content. Remember, I'm J-Rod of BATTLEBrawlerproductions, and I draw with power and my own soul.